Good evening, I'm your host Emma, and you're listening to the True Crime Witch podcast, the podcast that takes you into the world of everything murderous, mysterious, and downright macabre. You're listening to episode 18, which is a creepypasta reading from r/nosleep on Reddit, and this one is called Most Amazing Weight Loss Treatment Ever, and it comes from a user, so u/missmia33. Before we get into the creepypasta reading, if you're new to my creepypasta scary story reading, hi, hello, if this is your first episode, welcome, thanks for coming aboard and joining the spooky gang. I hope you enjoy your time here. These are a little bit different to how I'd normally format an episode. I usually do these sort of in between episodes when I have content and projects in the pipeline. So I'm currently working on a Doe Cases Solved in 2019 and then Cases Solved in 2019 episode. They're going to be separate, they won't be together. But those episodes are taking me way longer than anticipated to research, mainly because it's the Christmas, New Year period. I've been ill over Christmas, as I always get ill. I don't know why. You can maybe still tell a bit in my voice, I sound a bit cold, a bit chesty, but I'm doing good. And then mainly just because I kind of got sidetracked over this holiday season because, lots of naps, lots of food, and then of course, friends, you just get busy, so it's taking much longer than I anticipated. I don't want to rush the research because that's not fair. So instead, we have a creepypasta reading. And I also put this to a poll on Twitter, and I think the results were like 60-40. So it was either going to be this or like a short case that I've already sort of written from when I used to do my Twitter threads. If you're here from like when I used to do my Twitter threads, hello, thank you for being with me so long. I hope you've seen some gradual improvement and development in everything that I do. I also have some thank yous to give out. Thank you to Amanda, who is my first $1 patron. If you want to join up for just $1, you get early access to every single episode. You can just join, and it's just, you go on Patreon and search for True Crime Witch Podcast. I also want to give a shout out to those of you who gave me a rating, review, or even a 5-star review on iTunes. So thank you to JT. It just says from the US. I guess you have to specify which state and where you are. I can only see them through Chartable, which is like a tracking service that I use because obviously I don't have access to the US side of iTunes and Apple Podcasts, which is stupid. So thank you, JT. He's one of the hosts of the True Crime Lab along with Rudy Rude Boy, and if you haven't already listened to their podcast, stop this episode, go and download some of theirs. They are hilarious, super well put together, can't recommend them enough. My lovely friend Emily, you might know her as Morbidology, from Belfast. Thank you for the review, honestly it means so much. Tear Bear Texas, again, thank you for the 5-star review. I'm guessing you're from Texas, based on that name. Thank you for Tales of True Crime, again, in the US. Thanks so much for the review. And then K to the T13, again, another 5-star review. And you also put Emma's accent is to die for, and her content is top-notch. Mwah. Thank you so much. I really hate my accent and I hate my voice, but it's nice to hear that other people like it. So, thank you. And if you leave me a 5-star review, like a rating with a review, and put a little message on where you're from, I'll give you a little shout out and say thank you. It's always nice to give back to you guys. So, without any further ado, I think it's time that I read you guys the creepypasta, because that's what you came for. Okay, so this is called Most Amazing Weight Loss Treatment Ever, with 3 exclamation marks, so you know this shit's serious. and it's from r/no sleep, as I said, and it's user Miss Mia 33. Okay, this one is mostly for the ladies, because we're moving into the spring, and spring is diet season because summer is just a few months down the road. I stumbled in this while I was doing work for my biology course, and partly doing research online, and even thought it was pretty rough, and it worked like magic for me. A little bit of backstory. I was chubby from the time I was in elementary school. Not like massively obese, but I was definitely more than 5 or 10 pounds overweight. Aren't we all? Who can relate? Other than that, I wasn't ugly or anything, and I could clean up pretty well when I wanted to. But with that added weight, it was just really hard to get a date, and that didn't jive with me so well. I like partying. Who doesn't, girl? Who doesn't? I like going out and having fun and being around people, and my body was just really holding me back. And you have to believe me when I say I tried everything. No carb diets, all fruit diets, veganism. I even did some really needlessly dangerous things like chew and spit. I could just never bring myself to throw up, or just flat out starving myself. None of it ever worked anyway. Fast forward. I'm in college, and we're doing a brief unit on parasitism. I know exactly what you're all thinking. And yeah, I will admit it, the second I discovered that you could use parasites like tapeworms and stuff as a weight loss aid, I went and started digging. The thing is, it turns out it's not really as dangerous as they make it out to be. I read so many forums, and it seems like there were only 2 kinds of complications that people ended up with. Either they overcompensated for what was being taken out and ended up gaining weight in the end, or they left it in too long and it made an exit on its own that ended up in a trip to the hospital. And if you're in the US, that's medical bills that no one has time for. It took a lot of studying and a lot of really careful planning, but eventually I sort of figured out how you could toe the middle of the line and not screw it up that badly. The trick seemed to be that you'd starve the little sucker out. Maximum weight loss, since you would be burning fat, hopefully none of the complications. I know how bad this sounds, I really do, but bear with me. It turns out you can't really just buy parasites to infect yourself with on Amazon. That was where I hit my first snag. It took me a couple of weeks, and in the end I had put up a Craigslist ad before I got any leads at all. When I finally got a bite, I had to meet the guy in a really skeevy motel downtown close to the deal. I took them right there. It's definitely weird to think that you're intentionally introducing a parasite like a tapeworm into your body. Weird and kinda gross at first, but you work past it eventually. It helped that the guy I had bought them from was really appreciative and enthusiastic. Kind of a pervert, but I was sort of expecting it coming from Craigslist. You're lucky you didn't get murdered through Craigslist, let's be real. I ended up having to go back to him 2 more times over as many months. It turns out that sometimes your body is able to fight off an infestation like that. Ugh. After the 3rd time, it finally took. I know because I had been obsessively taking tests I was, admittedly, stealing from the biolab. By then, we'd already finished our unit on parasites, so no one ever knew that they'd gone missing. So where does this magic weight loss come in? It doesn't right away. It takes time for your new little friend to latch on in there enough and start siphoning nutrients. You will get nauseous. There's no avoiding it. At first mine was bad enough that I started keeping a trash can by my bed so that in the morning I could roll out and empty my stomach right in there. Yummy. It passes though, after a few weeks. You want to start taking vitamins right away. I admit I also cut way back on calories during this time. Probably more than I should have. Because I was paranoid about overdoing it, and I figured as long as I was popping multivitamins, I wouldn't get malnourished so badly that I ended up super sick. And hey, it totally worked. I admit there was a point where I experienced a little bit of hair thinning because I was apparently not taking enough vitamins. This was after about 2 months, so then I started adding more protein powder to my diet to offset it a little. I don't know if it helped or not, but I never developed a huge bald spot, so it was okay, it seemed to work. Here's the thing about doing it this way. The results do take some time, but I promise you it pays off, though. It will vary a little, lady to lady, based on a whole bunch of things, but if you do it right, at some point the weight will literally just melt off you. For me, it was after about 5 or 6 months. It was a little scary and painful when I realised the parasite had finally died and was on its way out. I skipped class to hole up in the bathroom while it passed. And once the solids were out, the rest of the built-up retained water was gone within another week. When it was all said and done, I had dropped 20 pounds, and after another month or 2 of a good diet and lots more vitamins, I was feeling well enough to start attending class regularly again. I don't want you to risk staying infected any longer than I did. That's the thing. After that point, the fetus is so developed it starts to show, and it's a lot bigger, so it's harder to get rid of when you finally miscarry. So that was this week's creepypasta. That was a fucking plot twist. When I was reading that earlier, I was like, shit. So I had to pick that one because it's pretty fucking spooky. Not like spooky, but just like, oh. It took me like a couple of seconds and it clicked in my head and I was like, okay, well, there's that then. You know, that's a thing. So this is also like a little end of year message from me because I don't really have time to, as I said before, you know, I have some ongoing projects for you guys in the new year, so a little end of year message from me. I just want to say thank you so much to everyone who's supported me, who's listened to the podcast, who's, you know, listened and watched on my YouTube channel. I know I sort of flitted between the two, finally ended up deciding on podcasting. I'm very happy with that decision. I'm so glad I stuck with podcasting and not YouTube videos, because they are hard. They take like twice the amount of work that a podcast does, and a podcast is hard. So just thank you. Thanks to everyone, you know. Thank you to all my patrons who signed up. Like, it's insane that I have 9 of you who want to financially contribute to me. I have over 500 listens now, which is crazy. There's like 500 people that actually listen to me when I sit on my bed and just talk true crime shit. It's pretty insane, so thank you. Whoever is my listener in Japan, hello, thank you. I did tweet about it, but I'm not sure if you follow me on Twitter, but I'm just very curious that I have a listener in Japan. I have quite a few listeners dotted all over the world, and it's just very curious to me that, you know, outside of the UK, the US, Canada, and like Europe, because that's close, just very strange. So hello. I think that's everything I have to say. I just want to sort of get across like how really thankful I am for all of you guys, for everyone that I've met this year, everyone who's listened to the podcast, retweeted me, shared my stuff on Facebook, you know, to everyone who's followed me on Instagram and like supported my content through there. Genuinely cannot thank you enough. Like 2019, I started my podcast this year. I thought I was going to do a couple of episodes and everyone would be like, well, it's shit, take it down, but the reception has been great. 2020 looks like it's going to be offering some good stuff for me, finally, hopefully, because this year has been quite, you know, I've had quite a bit of bad luck this year, so hopefully, with the end of this decade, we can ring in some new luck with the start of the next one. So, Merry Christmas. I know I'm a bit late because I'm recording this on the 30th. This will probably be going up on New Year's Eve. I'm a little bit late, but, you know, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah to everyone. And if you're out partying on New Year's Eve, remember, don't leave your drink unattended, you know, always keep an eye on your drink, keep it where you can see it. If you've left it, don't drink it. Try and have your hand over it and have a straw, you know, so you can't get spiked. Because I've been spiked once before, and it felt like shit. So don't do that. Luckily, I was in a situation where I had friends who looked after me and took me home. So yeah, keep an eye on your drink, stay with your friends, and don't wander off with strangers. Because I don't want to be having to record an episode about any of you guys next year. It's not what I want. So, Happy New Year, and Bon Année. Apologies for my terrible French, I'm sure someone will bring that up. Happy holidays, guys, and most importantly, remember, stay safe and stay spooky.